The goal of this video is to show you how you can use items that you have around your house to make a hairpin lace loom so you can try it out without buying a loom. So I have a whole bunch of different things. You do not need all of these. Basically what you need, the biggest things you need are something to cut with. I have a utility knife and a pair of scissors. I'll probably only use the utility knife. Something long and sturdy-ish in this direction. This can be, I just grabbed some things I had around my house. So I've got some knitting needles, some bamboo skewers, some reusable straws, some chopsticks, some pencils, and even a pair of tin whistles. So get creative. The idea of everything that I'm going to show you is to try stuff and make it work with what you have. If you don't have anything that I am using, think about other things you might use. The other thing that I'm going to use is good old corrugated cardboard. These hair bands are optional. Tape, I think you're going to need tape or an adhesive of some sort. And I'm going to use a piece of paper because I think it's going to make my life easier. So let me show you how I intend to approach this. First thing to note is that corrugated cardboard has directionality to it. So what we want to do to make something strong is to have it going both directions. So some of it going this way, some of it going this way. It's really, really easy to bend cardboard in one direction, but not as easy to bend it in the other direction. So it doesn't bend as well that way as it does that way. And so we want to make sure that we're adding strength by using it both directions. So depending on what you have to work with, you might choose a different way of doing this, but big picture, the goal that we're going to do is have a stack of cardboard running different directions, maybe 3 or 4 pieces of cardboard, and then our long stick things. So stack of cardboard, long stick things, stack of cardboard. So however you can accomplish that, go for it. Let's see, I think I will just use these. So I've got some cardboard that I've already cut into chunks here. This cardboard is obviously not long enough to go too far that way. How big you make this depends on what you're trying to do with it. So if you have a specific pattern you're trying to make, then make it so that it fits that pattern. So I'm going to go off of the idea that I want a 4-inch space between the two rods, in this case my bamboo skewers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to trim some of this down. Make it easier to cut without running into stuff. Let's see. And I think what I'm going to do, because when I try and stab through the cardboard, it tends to bend it. I'm going to try and do all my stabbing before I cut, I think, because that will make it a bigger piece that's less problematic. As you can see, I'm figuring this out as I go. So also feel free to do metric or inches, depending on what makes sense for what you're trying to accomplish. So in my case, what I think I'm going to shoot for is I'm going to do it on a piece of paper first and establish, I think, because cardboard isn't going to be as sturdy as wood, which is what I would normally make this out of if I was making it longer term. I will plan on it being 2 inches wide, and I think I'll just go ahead and cut that. So you can obviously just draw a line and use scissors to do this. I'm doing it this way because it's faster and I get a more even result. And what I'm doing here is basically making a template. So if I'm going to shoot for something that's got holes 4 inches apart, I'm going to measure out 6 inches. And then put the holes 1 inch from each side. Okay, so then I will mark where I'm going to put the holes. In this case, I can actually kind of just see through the paper. It doesn't have to be super precise, but you do want them all to line up because we're doing stacks, and because I said I'm going to cut mine, my stabby bits first. We want to make sure that it lines up. So, okay, let's do this. Can I fit 2 of these on here? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to use this as a template to just mark where I am going to cut, and actually, it doesn't matter if the ends are a little bit, you know, wonky, as long as it all generally lines up. Now we're gonna see that I'm not super great at doing a trace. But the goal of this tracing is to show where I'm going to use the utility knife in a minute to cut it out. So again, it doesn't really matter as long as the holes are in the correct spot. So I'm gonna just use the pencil to kind of mark. That should leave us, yeah, there we go. So in terms of actually punching these holes a little wider, deeper, I'm gonna get some extra cardboard, put it underneath. And this is where you can kind of use anything you've got. If you're using knitting needles, those are sturdier than like a pencil like this, so you may just want to start there. So what I've done is I've punched, you can't see it super well, but you can punch through. I'll punch from the other side. And the goal here is just to get it so that we'll be able to use our actual skewer to push through. And we don't want to make it super loose. We just want to make it so that it's strong enough, like a big enough hole for it to go through. And then I'll do the same thing basically on, what did I say, 4 layers? You know, you can decide how many layers based on how you're cutting it, whether you are using thicker cardboard or thinner cardboard. Okay, let's see. So I will do this one. And actually, next time I might. I don't know, we'll see. That's a mess. I'm going to try and keep this template. You could make this template out of cardboard and that would make it sturdier. I'm going to try and keep it reasonably nice so that my holes are likely to line up. Okay, so now I've got these two. So the next ones I make, these ones are going where the corrugated lines are going this way. So these ones I will want to go the other way, except they are not big enough. So, new plan. Do I have any big enough cardboard, actually, is the question. Or possibly I'll just edit that part out. No, that would be wrong. Okay, so actually, if we don't care if it's got a little bit of a fold in it, I think we can use this. This is going to be a longer video than I initially anticipated. Okay, so this is what we will do. And I don't think that bendiness in that direction will matter a lot because, again, we're going to go with 4 layers, so it's going to be pretty reinforced either way. I just don't want it to be weak in the same direction. Okay, and actually, since we're doing this, why not just do it side by side like this? I'm just gonna go ahead and do all. I'm gonna do 4 of this direction, 4 of the other direction. Not be a bad idea to mark which end is which. So fabulous. Okay. And where'd the little pencil go? Okay, so I've got those, I've got these. I'm gonna do one more set of these. And this time I'm gonna be a little smarter, marginally. And mark the whole thing at once. And use another edge. Might have been a better idea to stagger these so that the weak point isn't all at the same point. But they should be, I mean, conceptually they're the same distance apart. They might not be the same side to side, but I think it should all work. So we can kind of rotate them as we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna put skewers through here. I think it's gonna be a lot easier if we do the skewer not only before cutting them, but definitely before stacking them. Once it's stacked, I think it's going to be pretty stiff. Try not to stab yourself. Or I guess I should say be careful not to stab yourself. I do have my fingers out of the way. Even though it kind of looks like they're right in the way. Okay, then we're going to cut out all of our pieces of cardboard, which I'm going to do with the utility knife and the yardstick. I was going to keep track of which end was which when I used the template, but I forgot. So. Okay, then I think it should just be a matter of stacking and taping, stabbing. So I'm just going to alternate them, I think, like, is that right? It's this and this. Then if we flip it this way, the distance between these holes should be the same. Okay. So we'll do a stack like that. So now you can see it's got alternating edges with the corrugation direction. And then I'm going to do the same thing. That one, yes. Okay, and then the quick test is just we stab this thing through and will it work? Fantastic. Okay. So part of the thickness thing is that it's going to help us hold the skewers even. So I think it would probably be sensible to put the skewers through, then tape it in place so that if there's any alignment issues, well, so we're not creating new alignment issues as we tape. So you could glue this. You've got patience. But but when I'm interested in trying something new, I usually just get going as fast as possible. So I'm gonna do a nice goodly length of tape here in the middle. Just wrap it around. If you want, it's not super even, but whatever. If you want to make it more decorative, obviously you can do that. You could also put it all the way across and just stab through the tape. That might even add a little structure to it. I'm not sure. And then I'm also going to do, I'll do some at the edge here. And then just cut it off, I think. This is just painter's tape. You could use duct tape, electrical tape, probably scotch tape, whatever you happen to have. Even like fold it in like a present. I don't know if this will work. Put a little piece of tape there. I kind of like the present look, actually. Oh, that's a bit on the ridiculous side, but I don't even care. Because it amuses me, and that's what's most important. Okay, so you can clean that up however you want. And then basically, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And the other main thing you're going to want is you're probably not going to want to leave these stabby bits all stabby. This is where I would probably just take a piece of tape, fold it over, wrap around. There's probably better ways to do this, but I'm mostly just looking for something that will keep it from stabbing me. You could, you know, if it's something like skewers that you don't care about keeping to, you could just chop them off. But if you're doing knitting needles or something, you're not going to want to ruin the tips. And then same thing on the other side. The only thing on the other side, and you could do this on this side too, if you're having problems with it slipping, hopefully it'll be pretty snug, and the layers of cardboard will keep it pretty, it's got pretty good tension here. Compression, I guess, not tension. But you can use little hair rubber bands to just wrap around it to hold it in place so that it doesn't slide up or slide down when you're doing it. Let's see. I'm just gonna poke these through. I think it's going to be easier to do them one at a time. I guess what I could have done is when I stabbed with the stabbier end, I could have pushed it all the way to this end, done this end, and then done the other end. But it's fine either way. The closer it is to this end, the easier it's going to be to do the second side. So you get the idea of what to do from here. I don't know if you really... Maybe I'll speed this up. The other nice thing about this is even if you have a loom, this gives you the option to have a temporary loom that's that lets you accommodate different distances if you need one temporarily. I did them in opposite directions, didn't I? You could obviously just trim this off. My silly present wrapping thing is. Okay, so just like that, we have this. I will show just what you would do if you want to add a little hairband on the end. Is just go around it a couple of times, twisting each time, and then slide it down. And the rubber provides enough friction that should keep it from popping off casually, so it won't keep it from popping off if you really give it a good yank. But that's a totally functional hairpin lace loom.